Hello and welcome to Firstpost Live, where we bring you the day's top 4 stories from across the world. I am Gushin Galan, live from the Firstpost studios. Let's begin with the headlines. The United States warns it will impose 100% tariffs on Canadian imports if Ottawa finalizes a new trade deal with China, escalating trade tensions between Washington and its closest ally. Russia says initial talks with Ukraine in the UAE were held in a constructive spirit, but warns that major progress is still far off after the first US brokered negotiations in nearly 4 years of war. A powerful winter storm sweeping across large parts of the United States kills at least 10, disrupts flights, cuts power, and forces authorities to warn people to stay off roads as extreme cold continues. Myanmar's main pro-military party says it has won a majority in junta-run elections, allowing it to form a new government after a month-long vote that critics say only extends army rule. And Israel says it will allow a limited reopening of the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt, but only after it recovers the remains of the last Israeli hostage in the territory. It is January 26, the day when India is celebrating its 77th Republic Day, with pride, power and pageantry on full display. New Delhi's Kartavya Path transformed into a grand stage of vibrant tableau and commanding military strength. And the presence of top European Union leaders lended global resonance to this historic celebration. The day began with solemn remembrance when Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tribute to the nation's fallen heroes. The 2-minute silence was observed as wreaths were laid at the National War Memorial. President Droupadi Murmu then commenced the Republic Day parade by unfurling the tricolour amid echoes of a 21-gun salute and national anthem at the Kartavya Path.
Salute! Madad! Back!
This year's celebrations were themed around 150 years of Vande Mataram, marking the tribute to the national song. EU leaders Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa attended the parade as chief guests, witnessing India's cultural diversity, development journey and military might. The European Union military contingent joined India's Republic Day parade, blending the legacy of Vande Mataram with global partnership. It highlighted the EU's role in international maritime security. Kartavya Path thundered with a commanding display of military might, missiles, elite marching contingents, newly raised units and indigenous weapon systems underlined India's defence self-reliance. India Armed Forces showcased the formidable BrahMos supersonic missile, underscoring a major leap in India's precision strike capability. The display also featured the Akash missile system and Abhira, medium-range surface-to-air missile highlighting nation's growing air defence strength and indigenous firepower. Bhishma and Arjun battle tanks also rumbled past, drawing thunderous applause. Meanwhile, the Prahar formation dominated the skies with Apache and Dhruv helicopters as the dramatic Dwaj formation captivated the crowds. The NAG missile system and infantry combat vehicles were also at display. The Tri-Services tableau depicted Operation Sindoor victory with a striking detail. The Indian Navy's tableau depicted self-reliance and innovation, showcasing INS Vikrant. Bactrian camels, Zanskar ponies, raptors and dogs added colour to the animal contingent. While the 61st Cavalry, which is the only active horse regiment, marched with timeless elegance. All-women contingents of the CRPF and SSB marched with confidence and resolve, and daredevils on bike thrilled spectators with high-octane motorcycle stunts. Adding more colour to the parade were more than 2,500 artists from across India. They performed a stirring Vande Mataram presentation. 30 vibrant tableaux rolled past the dais. 17 tableaux were from states and union territories, and 13 were from ministries and services. These tableaux displayed India's cultural heritage, giving out the message of unity in diversity. The Indian Air Force carried out the spectacular finale of the parade. C-295 aircraft soared in flawless formation at the parade, concluded with Rafale jets vanishing into the sky. From tradition to technology, from sacrifice to strength, the 77th Republic Day parade showed all colors of India. Now shifting focus to the United States. In Minneapolis, another American civilian has been shot and killed by ICE agents during an immigration enforcement operation. Massive protests have erupted across the country, including Minneapolis and New York, after the deadly shooting of Alex Jeffrey Pretty. The dispute has taken on a political tone, with many criticizing federal tactics and calling for accountability. Demonstrators carried signs that read "ICE out of Minnesota" as they moved through the city. In fact, even former President Barack Obama said that Pretty's shooting should serve as a wake-up call, warning that fundamental American values are under growing threat. Former President Bill Clinton also delivered a blistering critique of the Trump administration, saying peaceful protesters across the country have been arrested, beaten, and tear-gassed. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz then called on President Donald Trump to withdraw thousands of federal agents from the state, warning that the operation is putting American lives at risk.
We believe in law and order in this state. We believe in peace. And we believe that Donald Trump needs to pull these 3,000 untrained agents out of Minnesota before they kill another person. And we're up here telling another story of a Minnesotan just trying to live their life without the interference.
Tim Walz has also refused a request from the Trump administration to repeal state sanctuary policies and provide access to Medicaid, food assistance, and voter registration data. Meanwhile, authorities in Minneapolis urge federal authorities to conduct immigration operations with discipline, humanity, and integrity.
To President Trump, this is a moment to act like a leader. Put Minneapolis, put America first in this moment. Let's achieve peace. Let's end this operation, and I'm telling you, our city will come back. Safety will be restored. We're asking for you to take action now to remove these federal agents.
With emotions running high, protesters gathered across Minneapolis to condemn ICE operations. One side read, "Be pretty, be good." As raids continue, residents have organized warning systems and clashes have broken out. There is growing public discontent with the administration's immigration strategy.
It's really horrific. I mean, the act itself was crazy, and the policy behind it is absolutely insane. It's, fascism in America, so it's really bad. But, I don't know, feel helpless.
As questions mount, a federal judge has ordered agents not to destroy or alter any evidence related to the shooting. A court hearing brought by state and county officials is scheduled later today. President Donald Trump has attributed the deaths of 2 American citizens in Minneapolis to Democratic leadership in the state and city. He accused them of failing to cooperate with his administration's immigration enforcement campaign. Trump said Democratic-run quote-unquote sanctuary cities and states were refusing to work with immigration and customs enforcement. Alex Jeffrey Pretty, a 37-year-old intensive care nurse, was shot dead on January 24th. His death comes just weeks after another U.S. citizen, Renee Good, who was killed by federal agents in the same city. Federal agencies say Pretty approached Border Patrol officers with a loaded handgun during a targeted operation against a suspect nearby and violently resisted attempts to disarm him. They maintain an agent fired multiple shots in self-defense.
When politicians, community leaders, and some journalists engage in that heated rhetoric we keep talking about, when they make the choice to vilify law enforcement, calling law enforcement names like Gestapo or using the term kidnapping, that is a choice that is made There are actions and consequences that come from those choices. And then when someone chooses to listen to a politician, a so-called journalist, a community leader that spouted that type of vilification towards law enforcement or anything else, when you choose to listen to that, that is a choice, and there are consequences and actions there also. I think we saw that yesterday.
However, on the contrary, eyewitnesses claim that Pretty was holding a mobile phone, filming agents in a snow-lined street and attempting to shield other protesters as federal officers pushed and pepper-sprayed them. They say Pretty was forced to the ground by several agents.
Well, he was walking and stuff, and then the ICE just jumped out of nowhere and just started tackling and tussling with him. He was just walking, and they just surrounded, and he slipped on the ice, and they started tussling with him. And then they hit him in the head with the canister, and then he started tussling with them, and then they shot him. They just killed him right there. He was unarmed. He was just walking. He didn't have no gun or nothing and stuff, he was just dead.
As mourners leave flowers and candles at the shooting scene, this case has become another flashpoint in a broader conversation in the United States about policing, protest, and the human cost of Trump's immigration raids. Let's focus on the commodities markets now. Gold has done it again. It has shattered records and crossed a psychological mark that few imagined so soon. Today, gold surged past $5,000 an ounce for the very first time. This is not just a rally, this is a statement. In just the first 26 days of this year, gold is already up by 17%. Last year, it soared 65%, its biggest annual jump since 1979. So what is going on? Why is the world suddenly running back to gold? Because when the world looks unstable, gold looks safe. From Greenland to Venezuela, from West Asia to Washington, global tensions are rising and uncertainty is spreading. Investors are nervous, markets are anxious, and gold once again has become the world's comfort blanket. This year's surge is also linked to a series of dramatic moves by President Trump. Tariff threats against NATO allies over Greenland, a military operation that resulted in the capture of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, and even a criminal investigation involving the U.S. Federal Reserve chief. Each move has rattled confidence. Expectations that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates twice this year. When interest rates fall, traditional investments offer lower returns. So money flows towards gold and silver. And silver is rising too, just like gold. Ever been mined in human history. That's it. For context, all the gold in the world would fit into just 3 to 4 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Yes, that little. There is more gold underground, about 64,000 tons, according to US estimates. But production is expected to slow in the coming years. In economics, this is called the demand-supply mismatch. Simply said, supply is not keeping pace with demand, and that is pushing prices. It is not just investors buying gold. Central banks have been quietly stocking up the precious metal. They added hundreds of tons to their reserves last year alone. Then there's culture. In many countries, gold is not an asset, it's tradition. It's bought during festivals and gifted at weddings. In India, households hold an estimated $3.8 trillion worth of gold, which is nearly 89% of the country's GDP. China, meanwhile, remains the world's largest consumer market, where many believe gold brings prosperity and good fortune. It's evident that the shiny metal is breaking multiple records, not because the world is thriving, but because of uncertainty. At $5,000 an ounce, gold isn't flashing confidence. Rather, it's flashing caution. Imagine packing your bags for a peaceful holiday, dreaming of snow-covered mountains and a warm dinner at night. But instead of scenic views, everything comes to a halt, and you find yourself stuck in traffic, surrounded by a blanket of snow and uncertainty. This is what happened with the tourists who were headed to Manali, a popular hill station in the North Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. Tourists flock here to enjoy snowfall in winters and ditch the heat in summers. But this time, heavy snowfall across the state caused widespread travel disruption. On Sunday, over 800 roads, including several national highways, were closed due to traffic. Travel came to a standstill in many parts of the state. The situation worsened due to the long weekend, which included Republic Day and the season's first major snowfall after nearly 3 months. The routes leading to Manali were worst impacted. Around 8 to 10 kilometers of the national highway to the hill town remains blocked, leaving the tourists stranded. With hotels fully booked in Manali, many tourists began moving towards Kullu, another popular tourist destination. Manali received snowfall up to 2 feet. This led to dangerous black ice on roads. Vehicles remained stranded overnight, with passengers stuck inside them. The long jam forced people to leave their vehicles along the roadside and walk long distances with their luggage through deep snow. Reports suggest some had to trek 10 to 20 kilometers amid freezing conditions. And amid these extreme weather conditions, tourists complained of lack of food, water and toilet facilities. Many claim that their vehicles moved only a few meters after being stuck for over 24 hours. According to the State Emergency Operations Center, the snowfall has affected multiple districts. It has also disrupted movement in tourist places like the Lahaul Spiti, Simla, Mandi, Kullu and Chamba. Authorities are working on clearing the roads. They say that road clearing operations will pick up once weather conditions improve.
जी जो अभी बर्फबारी का ये दौर शुरू हुआ है, तकरीबन 5-6 घंटे से लगातार बर्फ गिर रही है और मनाली में, और इसके अलावा जो हमारे रोड्स हैं उससे स्नो को हटाने का काम जो है वो भी चल रहा है, और जो टूरिस्ट हमारे पास यहाँ है या जो स्थानीय लोग हैं उनको यही हिदायत दी गई है कि अननेसेसरी ट्रैवल से बचें और जो भी टाइम टू टाइम दिशा निर्देश दिए जाते हैं प्रशासन की तरफ से और IMD की तरफ से उनका पालन करें.
The Weather Department has warned of fresh snowfall in the coming days. An orange alert has been issued for several places with heavy snow and rain forecast. This indicates that the woes of tourists visiting the state could soon increase. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gushingal and we'll see you right back here at the same time. Until then, stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.
Conducted by Sri Lokesh Anand, the presentation brings together accomplished classical musicians and traditional folk artists from across India.